7 joining us virtually, and that is Barb Patterson. All right, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda and approve the meeting minutes? All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you. Anyone opposed? Great. Agenda and minutes are approved. All right, tonight we are doing our new executive board seating.
Yeah, we can.
I am going to go ahead and propose a,
Well, we do need to recognize Director Cotton stepping off, and that Barb Patterson has been reelected to a new 3-year term as the country club representative. And at this point, I could chime in one thing. Next slide. Michelle Jilick, who was elected to represent Parkside, submitted her resignation. So she will not be serving on the Community Council Board as a representative for Parkside. So we are seeking statements of interest to fill that spot. And so here is the timeline. We're announcing it tonight at this meeting. Through the 11th, we'll be accepting statements of interest for that. The deadline to submit at 11:59 p.m. on the 11th there. And then at the 20th, on May 20th, it's not going to be 6:30 p.m. It'll be 5:30 p.m. We'll have a special board meeting to interview those interested, and then the appointment that night, and then their first official board meeting would be May 27th. So we have a spotlight article up on our website. So if you are interested, go click on that, and then go click on the statement of interest that you can submit for that to serve as a volunteer. Like I said, it will be a full 3-year term. That's the way our bylaws read. So just want to make sure folks were aware of that and that process.
thank you. All right, so we will move into the new board seating. I'm going to go ahead and suggest the slate. So for chair, I'm suggesting Dave Duckworth. Vice Chair, Barb Patterson. Secretary, Laura Hartman. And Treasurer, what is Bob's last name? Bob McKenzie, goodness gracious, as the 4. Do we have any other nominations? Barb, online? All right, fabulous. No other additions or changes?
If there aren't any, then you are elected to those positions by acclamation. So congratulations and condolences all in the same moment.
Okay, well, thank you. Here we go. So next on the agenda item is the presentation of awards with the Jim Martin STEM Scholarship Award, and I'll turn that over to Aaron.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate this opportunity. We had 6 students apply for the Jim Martin Scholarship. The 2 selected recipients are here this evening, Lucas Loudon and Paige Dial, 2 very qualified youth, very excited for them and for them to go into the STEM field. They are receiving a $1,000 scholarship named in honor of Jim Martin, who was the designer of the Anthem Veterans Memorial. He's in the STEM field. He was on the review committee as well. He wasn't able to make it this evening, but we appreciate him and his efforts with that as well. So with that, we'd like to invite the recipients up. Maybe what we'll do is we'll do them individually. If we could have Paige and her family come up, ladies first, then we'll have Lucas and his family come up. We'll present the check, do the handshake, and take the picture. Does that sound good? All right. And if you want, Mr. Chair, you can join me since you helped review. Come on, we'll go out there.
Okay, next is the audit report.
Turned on. Can you hear me now? Okay. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and to spend just a couple minutes with you. I will say to Lucas, and I'm going to hold this, I think you have a very bright future because you're going to ASU. Okay. My name is Paul Hansen with Butler Hansen. I'm a partner with the firm that was engaged to perform the audit for Anthem this year. First and foremost, I just wanted to say thank you to the Board of Directors and Aaron, Dee, and the rest of the management team for, quite frankly, cooperating with me and the firm during the audit process. The auditors are never the ones that receive flowers at the end of an audit, you know, and I'm still waiting for like, you know, cookies, that sort of thing. It never happens for me. So if anybody wants to send anything my way, let me know. I'm kidding, anyway. Before I get going with my remarks, I did want to mention one thing. We have had the opportunity to work with Dee in, I guess you'd say her prior, where she was employed previously. You're very, very lucky. Incredibly lucky. And to have Dee as the Director of Finance here not only is very, very good for Anthem, but very, very good for us as auditors. Because we were able to come in and we worked with Dee in the past. And so again, as Dee picked up the mantle, I guess you'd say, as Director of Finance, again, we worked together, so we were able to get in and ask her, you know, the things that we needed, and she knew what we needed to do our job, and so it made the audit process, quite frankly, very, very good this year. And so again, I've just been asked to report our findings as it relates to the audit for Anthem Community Council, and I'm very, very happy to report to the board that we're going to be issuing what's referred to as a clean opinion. So it is obviously an A+ report. It's the best opinion that you can receive on your financial statements. I won't take the time to run through too many of the numbers. However, just for the sake of the membership, it's important to recognize that the Board of Directors and management is overseeing the operation of a $40 million corporation. You know, you have assets on your balance sheet of $40 million. You bring in revenue of just under $16 million, expenses of $15 million, investments of $25 million. There's a lot going on here. Clearly, my firm was invited to come in and audit the financial statements of Anthem to verify the veracity of the financial statements that you're presenting to your membership, right? So it's our job to come in and look at your assets that are just shy of $40 million, to look at your cash and investment balances just shy of $25 million, and to issue an opinion and say, do these assets exist? Or is what your membership being provided with a body of lies? And I'll be honest, you know, Aaron's probably seen it. I know Dee's probably seen it. In some associations, the answer to that question is yes. Sometimes, unfortunately, it is a body of lies. Again, just to clarify for Anthem, we're very, very happy to report that it's not so. Everything that we looked at agreed and reconciled to the underlying financial statements and documentation here in Anthem like it should. As we looked at the revenue, of course, it was our job to come in and determine whether or not the revenue was complete. The revenue sounds like a big number, doesn't it? $16 million, it sounds like a lot. But how do you know it shouldn't have been $20 million? And so it's my firm's job to come in and audit the revenue, make sure that all the revenue that should have come in to Anthem did. Conversely, it's our job to come in and look at the expenses and determine whether or not the expenses were the money that went out the door was for goods or services that in fact was received by Anthem. And I'm very, very happy to report that, again, that is the case, which is why we're able to issue an unqualified opinion, okay? Just a couple of observations between years. If I was a resident of Anthem, I'd want to hear this. As we got in to do your audit, we don't just look at invoices. We don't just look at bank statements and general ledgers, as exciting as that is. We also just kind of take a step back and look at things in general. And some general observations that we saw here at Anthem is that operationally, your actual operation position really strengthened between years from 2024 to 2025. Your operating fund strengthened. I'm sure you're probably aware of that. As we look at your reserve fund strengthened as well. Your reserve funding level increased. And so again, as outside third parties coming in, we're able to very quickly make the determination that Anthem seems very, very solid financially. which is a huge thing. My firm provides services for about 2,000 associations in about 15 states now. We have a lot of clients, a lot of very, very large master plan communities. I don't say that to make myself look good at all. I mention that because as we look at all the communities in the different states that we're performing services for, Anthem stands out. You really do. You stand out financially as a very, very strong community financially. And so I would just encourage you to continue to do what you're doing, continue to go down the same path, because operationally and from a reserve standpoint, things are looking very, very good. I would caution you as you go into budget season, which, believe it or not, it's going to start pretty quick. I caution you with this every year, but I have to, because I have so many clients that are in such financial difficulty right now. I would caution you, obviously you've seen the reports coming out, inflation is running just about 3.2, 3.3%. We know what that means as you go into the 2027 budget cycle. You're already looking at an inflation that's about 3.2%, 3.3. From a reserve standpoint, we see those costs continue to increase. Your last reserve study was done in 2023. I would encourage you to get an updated reserve study done in 2026. Is that on the docket? I'll put you on the.
We've talked about doing a brief update, not the full scale. We do the full kind of thing every 5 years.
Every 5 years? Okay. The reason I mention that is, again, we have seen reserve study costs increase tremendously the last few years. Actually, some of the costs doubling and tripling. And so I mention that because obviously with a community the size and scope of Anthem, with the geographic footprint that you have, it's critically important, in my view, that you stay on top of these reserve costs, because it's really impossible, arguably, to set an annual assessment for the membership unless you know how much it costs to keep your lights on, as well as what your current deterioration of your common areas is costing you every year. Because, of course, the reserves is nothing but a calculation of the deterioration of your common areas on a daily basis, which is then multiplied to help you set your assessment. Again, I would like to thank the Board of Directors and management, and Aaron and Dee and the rest of the team. You have an incredible team here. You do. And it makes the audit, which it takes us so much time to do. It's very, very labor intensive with a community your size. It makes the audit just go so much more smoothly when we actually have a team that's cooperative, when we're provided, with the things that we need, which are so extensive. It's not just about bank statements, it's contracts, it's Board of Directors meeting minutes, it's so many things. And it's just, again, wonderful to be able to be provided with that, to get in and do our job and do so in as efficient manner as possible. That's my report. I appreciate the opportunity to spend some time with you tonight. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, it looks like we need a motion. If I could ask for a motion to accept the audit report.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the audit report? All those in favor say aye. Aye. None opposed. It passes. Okay, Aaron, it's time for staff reports.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Tough act to follow. I don't think I'll be able to follow up Paul's wit and humor there. But I will say this, I do want to compliment the team. It takes every single employee following the internal controls and the processes that we have in place, that we have in place. So I appreciate the directors and the finance team doing that each day. Sometimes it's a little frustrating because you're like, well, I hate this paperwork. But I hate this paperwork turns into a clean audit like we have. So I appreciate everyone's efforts in doing that. Okay, a couple of things I wanted to make sure the community is aware of. We're doing a series of community educational presentations. We're partnering with the Chamber of Commerce on these. The first one will be next week on Wednesday night in this very room at 5:30 p.m. The City of Phoenix will be presenting about what their general plan vision is for the North Valley area into the future. So people said, hey, what's happening around Anthem? What's planned? Well, City of Phoenix is going to come talk about that. So they'll talk about what their general plan looks like right now. So that will be, I think, an exciting evening that will be open and available to the public to come and attend. We will also be streaming that meeting. So for those who can't make it or would prefer to watch from the comfort of their couch, they can do that as well. So then we'll have another one on May 19th, TSMC. They will be presenting, talking a little bit about their operation and kind of their growth and just generally who they are as a company. That'll be on the 19th at 5 p.m. again in this room. And then June 11th, Halo Vista, and Halo Vista is a development around the TSMC area. They are actually presenting to the North Gateway Village Planning Committee on June 11th at 6 p.m. And that's going to be down at the community center on Pinnacle Peak right there. That's part of an update they're giving there to that committee. And so we just decided to piggyback on that. They said that would be a good opportunity there. So residents, again, who are interested in what's happening around here, they have that opportunity to participate in those forums and educate themselves. I will say the Halo Vista one, we are not streaming since it's not going to be here in our building. So I'm excited for those. Last meeting we had a resident come and talk about how the surrounding communities that aren't a part of Anthem were advertising Anthem amenities. Just wanted to provide a report back on that. We reached out to those communities and they've removed those references on their website. They can't leverage our amenities and not participate with us in that. So, and upcoming voting locations in Anthem. This is just as a piece of general information. We are going to be having primary elections here in the Civic Building. We're working with Maricopa County and entered an agreement for that. And then general elections would be at the community center. We had a scheduling conflict, so we're going to split those two buildings. And then the other voting location here in Anthem will be, for the primary and general, will be at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, right there, Daisy Mountain and Anthem Way there on the corner. They will also be having voting there. But the county wanted 2 voting locations, and so we want folks to be aware of those coming up. And then during last meeting, there had been a request to talk about field maintenance and improvements. I'm sure that's why all of you are here tonight. That's why you came. You're like, we want to hear about that presentation. I hate to crush your dreams and hopes for tonight, but that's actually been pushed to next month. Director Barbie, who requested that, is unable to be here this evening, and Director Patterson is here remotely. So I figured probably be better to do it when they're here in person. So that is my report. On the business services side, we have 5 architectural reviews that are open right now, 3 that were recently approved for various signs and other improvements to go in. I will say one of the ones that I'm more excited about is the Catholic Church is coming along, and I was talking to them today, and they said they are supposed to be done and have their dedication in the middle of May. So that building should be wrapped up there, and they're looking to do some solar there as well, which I thought was some covered parking, not a lot of it, but some. But that will be a nice addition to our community as a piece of architecture. So with that completes my reports there. I'll hand it off to Ms. Dahl with Human Resources.
Hi, hello. Our current workforce snapshot is looking at 121 total employees with 53 full-time and 78 part-time. We do have all our employment opportunities on the website, and some of the roles listed on the slide have been filled or close to putting out an offer. So just watch our website for the most current positions that are open and unfilled. For employee recognition, in April, we had the All Hands Award winner takes ownership for achieving positive results to our head swim coach, Dan Morris. As you probably heard last board meeting, that he has really taken over the swim team programs in a positive way, winning multiple state events last month and bringing back a top 3 finish in the Western zones for the first time in the team's history. So really a stellar employee that we wanted to acknowledge during our April All Hands. For employee activities, the Morale Committee is just doing some fun pop-up activities. We celebrated baseball opener at the end of last month, and today was National Jelly Bean Day. So always fun and food roaming around our buildings. As for the current training, we are rolling out online training using our Paylocity learning module. Respectful workforce training and active shooter are our first ones that we'll be offering, and these will be in conjunction with the maintenance and facilities management training that we use through the Vector software. Let's see what else. Finally, for HR projects, we are ramping up for the summer onboarding. Dana's got that under control with the day in May to help get all our seasonal employees up and going. And we're also have launched an employee satisfaction pulse survey through our payroll system, really giving us an opportunity to measure not only HR metrics, but connect the metrics to retention, performance, and overall organizational effectiveness. So by next board meeting, I should have some more information on that. And that's all I have for you. Thank you. Scott.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Tanya. We are definitely in the getting ready for summer mode over at the community center as we have completed all of our lifeguard trainings for the season, and we'll begin hiring all of the summer hires that Tanya was alluding to. This is the first year in 5 or 6 years that we're actually gonna have too many applicants. So we're gonna have the best of the best of the best, since we already are the best up here in Anthem. The Big Splash Water Park will open Memorial Day weekend on May 23rd. We are running our second session of our spring swim lessons right now with 40 signed up. Everything is open for summer registration for all of those great programs. Learn to swim, summer rec, dive, private swim lessons. We got water aerobics, all sorts of good things. And we have over 30 brand new spring rec kids right now, and that number will bump up in the summer as you see hundreds of kids out there. The other thing that is now open, if you didn't know, we opened it in the spring, and then through the summer is the barbecue parties and rentals. Those are open, and there'll be a couple big projects that we will have before summer. Mike's team's helping get some of the landscape looking really good out there at the pool, and we've got some new shade structures and new cabanas that will be unveiled soon. For our sports and fitness department, get ready for Cinco de Dinko. It is back on May 5th. We'll have taco trucks and bounce house and free pickleball for all of the community as we try to encourage people to learn that are still a little bit nervous about the fastest growing sport in America, as they say. So come on out on May 5th and try it out. As far as the little kids in sports, we got soccer and volleyball both running right now with about 60 in each of those sports, and our summer basketball registration is also open. We have ongoing sports clinics and other coaching availabilities, so pretty much whatever you're looking for, we probably have it. Fitness classes, we just had our spring open house wellness event this weekend, getting out there, trying some of our new fitness classes. So if you haven't been in the community center in a while, come back, check it out. Lots of good things happening. We got tennis, pickleball, tot sports, adult sports, and more. For everything going out in the parks and fields and security, we had stayed at 83 student parking passes without incident. That's probably where we're gonna end the year for the Boulder Creek overflow at the park. We made it through our busy event month that Steve will tell you all about, and a very busy Easter weekend with all the Ramadas rented out over that weekend. We are up to 333 dog park memberships, which is about 60 behind where we were this time last year, which is about $3,000 behind. So I know that was asked in the meeting last. So we are running behind, but Steve's team's really pushing, and we're really pushing all those new shade and seating areas out there because we want to get people to come back to the dog park as well. We are doing a slight pricing increase for some of those party areas I talked about at the pool, just to streamline with what other areas are charging, but Anthem's still the best deal around. So if you didn't know that we do that for summer, check that out. It's a great way to get a big area to hang out in the shade and have some fun at the pool this summer. For our youth and children's programs, we have finished all of the interviews for our summer camp, and that's some more stuff that will be getting hired very soon as we get ready for summer again. I want to give a shout out to our new supervisor of the program. She got through her first spring break camp with over 30 kids there every day. So we always say that's like a test run for summer. We're at 99 people registered so far for summer camp. So get in soon before it sells out. We also will be running our annual Summer Teen Series, which we've done for a while. At one point we ran it in this building. This is not a great building for teens. So it's back at the community center. So it's a little more fun over there. Sorry, people that work over here. And some other programs. We have our Parents Night Out. The Adventure Club's going strong. Dancing classes for both children and adults. We have a sewing class, music, art, chess, and more. Come check it out. All the fun stuff. Gonna hand it over for Mike for his version of fun.
Thank you, Scott. Our version was very much fun, just as much fun as yours, I'm sure. Currently, we had 3 open positions, 2 of which have been filled. One gentleman came on board about 2 weeks ago for a Tech 1 construction, and he's doing a great job out there helping us repair walls and rebuild some of these things that are decaying a little bit. We've made an offer for a special projects project manager, gentleman coming to us with a lot of experience, and we've got a lot of high hopes, and we're really looking forward to bringing him on boarding and helping him, having him help us get through this next cycle of FMP projects. And we are still taking applications for a maintenance tech to work in the fields. For our facilities, Desert Oasis Janitorial, they've brought in some new managers. We now have Veronica and Arnaldo, our managers for Desert Oasis, and Christina and Dwight are no longer servicing our site. We did, in the Civic Building, we've managed to get some repairs done. We had an issue with the door controller. That was be repaired. We had issues with the mag locks. Those issues have been resolved. We also had a water leak in the first floor. They've repaired the water leaks, but we still have a little bit of cosmetic repairs to go in that men's restroom. We've completed the termite treatments around this building to protect it. And in the community center, the HVAC repairs that we have been doing over the last few years and replacements seem to be helping. We are establishing an ongoing HVAC program where we're going to be monitoring them a little bit more closely and maintaining them since most of them are pretty new, within 5 years old. So we've are really stepping forward and pre-addressing any issues before they happen. For landscaping, we've refreshed the flowers at the Civic Building, Community Center, AVM, and the West Side commercial signage. For Paseo, we've done the arborist cutbacks. That's a small segment of the whole anthem where we go through and cut back a certain percentage of the trees that are overgrown. We've completed some foliage installations up at the Liberty Bell Tunnel, and we're in the process of doing the community center landscape renovations and modifications back in the pool area. We guarantee that those are going to be done and completed before the water park opens. And the locker rooms are open. In the parks, we had an accident-damaged light pole in the community center parking lot. The fabrication of which took a really long time, but we finally have that installed, and you can't even tell which one it is. So that's great. And we've completed the Veterans Memorial polishing and marble repairs. It was showing a little bit of age on the surface of the marble, and if you go and look at it now, it actually has a sheen or a gloss to it. It looks like real marble, and it's great. We're continuing to look at some other things to protect the AVM, and we're working on that. For our construction division, we've completed 16 of 24 wall repairs that we've received so far this year, and we are working forward and doing a little bit of other maintenance items and wall and repair crack repairs besides simple wall repairs. For the capital project updates, this was published before we knew the real situation. We have the ERV modifications for the locker rooms. The crane lift was scheduled for the 13th, but the county was holding permits. The newest new revised schedule, they've told me tentatively we'll be installing it next Monday on the 27th. For the pickleball resurfacing, we are confirming for the 18th of May, and that has been confirmed multiple times. And we estimate that that is going to take about 10 days. Don't hold me to it. We'll try to get it done quicker, but we got to do what we got to do. And the Liberty Bell FMP project, we received approvals at last board meeting, and to date, we have already started doing some of the modifications up there, and we have the lion's share of the items selected and proposals all lined up and ready to go. So we're on track with that, if not just a little bit before that, in front of our schedule. So hopefully we'll get that tied up really quickly, and it won't linger. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Dee in the finance.
Okay. Can you hear me? Am I not being loud enough? There we go. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm going to review the financial information for the first quarter of the year, so through March. And since it's quarter end, we'll take a look at reserve projects, enhancement projects, and review some home resale information as well. So our first report is a summarized view of the statement of revenue and expense, or the income statement, for both the month of March and year-to-date through March. We can see down at the bottom line, ACC has operating income of $154,000, which is $161,000 favorable to budget so far. And we'll dig into the main drivers for those numbers here. So up in revenue, we're about $12,000 below budget through March. And the main reason for that, next slide, is the enhancement fees are about $14,000 below budget so far. This has been pretty consistent in the first quarter. It could simply be due to the seasonal cycle of home sales or just timing. So we'll see in the upcoming months if that catches up. And moving down to the expense section, we have $173,000 in savings in a few different areas, which have also been pretty consistent so far this year. Savings in personnel expenses of about $111,000, and this is due to open and transitioning positions. Administrative costs are $18,000 favorable to budget, mainly due to lower legal fees so far for the year. And the savings in community programming, events, and facilities may just be timing of expenditures. As we get a little further along in the year, we'll see if this is savings versus timing, especially after the summer months for events and programming. Below operations is net income or loss for all the other funds, reserve, enhancement, and now the property fund this year. On a consolidated basis, ACC has a $1 million net loss for the year. $318,000 of that is depreciation expense, and the reserve fund is budgeted for a loss this year. We're already anticipating that. So we'll see that figure increase over the course of the year, and that's just how reserve ebbs and flows. Some years you build it up, and other years you have a larger spend. The next report is the balance sheet as of March 31st and the year-over-year changes compared to last year end. With the initial view, it appears that both sides have increased by about $2 million. But as we've talked about before, next slide, please. We have those interfund receivables on both sides of the balance sheet that kind of pump up that number. It's just an internal transfer. So we remove those amounts. Next slide. And then you can get a truer picture of this report. Now at the bottom, there's about a $447,000 decrease on both sides. Next slide. On the asset side, the primary drivers include a small decrease in cash up at the top and the recognition of depreciation expense down towards the bottom. And over on the other side, liabilities and equity, the same bottom line change we saw back on the income statement, that consolidated net loss figure at the bottom, and the timing items up front for amounts we owe, accounts payable, deferred assessments, and some other liabilities. So as part of the quarter end information, we see the reserve projects through March 31st. It's comparing budget to actual expenses through March. We also have about $86,000 that rolled over from the 2025 budget for projects that just weren't fully completed by the end of the year. Of the $4.6 million projected for expenditures, we've spent just over $1.6 million, so about 35%. And
here is the same information for the enhancement projects with $44,000 rolling over from 2025. And the upcoming Liberty Bell improvements is the only project on the schedule for this year. And finally, we'll take a look at home sales and enhancement fees received for all Anthem property sales in the first quarter. This is a look at the average home sales price for each of the areas in Anthem over the past 12 months. This particular chart does not include commercial properties. This is only residential. You can see that Parkside and Villages have a bit less fluctuation than Country Club. There's just a broader range of sale prices and a lower number of sales in that area, which can, depending on the variation, can cause just a little more volatility. And added here is the average home sales price for each of the areas in the first quarter. Next slide. And then compare with that same figure quarter one of last year. Next slide. And if you take total sales divided by the number of homes sold for the whole community of Anthem as a whole, the average home sales price was $618,000 in the first quarter. This is the number of properties sold in Anthem over the past 3 years. 2026 is the green dotted line for the first quarter. These figures do include commercial properties. However, we have not had any so far this year. And here are the total figures for the number of properties sold. This year is lower than last year, but higher than 2024. So right in the middle. And finally, here's a look at enhancement fee revenue for each of the last 3 years, again, with 2026 in the green striped columns. This reflects the same trend. We're lower than last year, but above 2024. The end. Are there any questions? And now I'll hand it over to Steve.
Thank you, Dee. The Anthem Veterans Memorial had a memorial service for Major General Prentice on March 28th. I just want to say a big thank you to all the residents, guests, and the ACC staff members who contributed to making this a truly meaningful and memorable event. The second annual Touch-a-Truck event was another tremendous success. We extend our appreciation to all participating businesses, attendees who took time out of their schedules to make this event so impactful. Our Go Green event was held on April 11th. We saw outstanding participation from residents with over 600 vehicles recycling items. The event ran smoothly, and at its peak, the line of cars extended from where we are at the Little League fields all the way around to the community center to the lakes. So there was about at least a 30 or 45-minute wait in line for that. And thank you for the people who were in line at 7 and 6 a.m. as well. So you helped get the line down, and you guys were there first, so thank you. Music in May is just around the corner, kicking off on May 1st. This free concert series takes place every Friday throughout the month of May and is open to the public. Attendees are invited to enjoy live music along with a wide variety of food trucks. Our Anthem Market in the Park has just 3 Sundays left before its summer break. This Sunday will be the third to the last before summer. The market will return on September 13th. The Daisy Mountain Veterans Memorial Day ceremony will be held on March 25th at the Anthem Veterans Memorial. For additional information, please visit daisymountainveterans.com. And finally, our campaign promoting e-bike safety and awareness of the 404 protected areas remains ongoing. We will continue to provide valuable information and resources for both parents and children. And now I will turn it back to our chair.
Thank you, Steve. So now that I'm chair, I've always wondered who came up with the Touch-a-Truck idea. That's brilliant. I love it.
I move to accept the staff reports and financials.
Okay, we'll move to the committee updates for the Finance Committee. We did have a quorum. We met yesterday. We have 2 openings for the committee, and we went through a first round of nominees, and we've sorted it down to a select set of very high qualified folks, and we're going to start the interview process May 4th or 5th. I always get that confused, May 5th. So we'll start the interview process and hopefully have a completed committee by the time the committee meets next. And Dee, you want to give the update on the investment?
So our investment advisor, Francisco Tort, who is in the audience today, joins us every quarter to give an investment update. And for the first 2 months of the year, we did very well. But as you know, things have been a little uneasy in the market. So for March, that was a difficult month just because of world happenings. But he provided an update through the 20th of April that shows we're already back up. So we'll just expect some volatility in the small areas that we have in the market. But so far, we're doing okay.
Okay, well, thank you. And Francisco, thank you very much for attending tonight. Appreciate it very much. Second is an update on the Anthem Business Support Committee, and I'll give that update as well. We're meeting tomorrow, but an update from last month's meeting. We did approve the temporary signage update, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And I'm excited to see at least the improvements that we are able to accomplish within the guidelines of the county and the city. Second, we actually formed 2 task forces. One was a task force to look at our current website and also newsletter to see what we can do to improve them and make them quite a bit more business friendly. And I'd like to thank Steve already because he's already done a big update on that. And so we'll see some more discussion on that tomorrow. We also have Chuck Finzer, who's also on that task force. The second task force, one of the ideas that came back was what we can do to potentially upgrade the amphitheater to turn it into a real performing arts venue. And it's a great idea. It costs a lot of money. There's a lot of obstacles. There's a lot of opportunity. So it's not a trivial idea. So we did create a task force that went off, and they're going to give us an update tomorrow. And that includes Rebecca Novicki and John Parsons and Chuck Finzer. And the idea is to, this idea was proposed many years ago, so we're reviewing the original proposals to see what we can learn from what was discussed way back when, and hopefully be able to come back to the council and to the community with some good ideas that could get very exciting. And like I said, we will meet again tomorrow. So with that, I need a motion to accept the committee reports.
I move we accept the committee reports.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay, we'll turn it back to old business and over to Aaron.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is your second time seeing this item. We went through and we worked on this. As you said, the Anthem Business Support Committee recommended it as well for the board's consideration. It does tighten it up and make it very clear what the city of Phoenix allows and what Maricopa County allows and how those are different. I know that's a source of frustration for some businesses, but that's kind of the tyranny of geography. There's not a lot we can do about that on that front. So we aligned that there. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have on this one.
So I think we need a motion to approve.
I move to adopt resolution 2026 R05, amendment to non-residential guidelines for the temporary advertising devices.
Do we have a second? Okay, any further discussion? None? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any? Okay, it passes.
Can we do the next one? All right, then the next one is Resolution 2026 R06, Update and Restructure of Board Policy Manual. What this item accomplishes, again, this is your second time seeing it. It incorporates past board policy manual approvals that weren't incorporated yet, updated titles to reflect current titles, and cleaned up some of the clerical stuff that was in there as well. There are no seismic changes being proposed. The items that are not in the proposed board policy manual, they will be coming out in an updated operations manual. Those policies will still remain in place. A good example of that is the collections policy is not in the board policy manual. That will be in an operations manual on that. But obviously the existing collections policy will remain in place until such time as it's changed by the board, if you so desire. But happy to answer any questions that you may have. There is a clean version and a red line version just for those who want to follow along and see what proposed changes are there. Those are there available in the red line. So. And there was a typo in there last time, if I remember correctly, and we got that caught this time. So thank you, Director Hartman, for that.
Any other questions for Aaron? We need a motion to approve.
I move to adopt Resolution 2026 R06, the update and restructure of our board policy manual.
Do you have a second? All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. It passes. Thank you, Aaron. Let's see, there is no new business? And future agenda board items. Aaron, should we, well, I'll just bring this up. We discussed earlier the idea of coming up with additional training regarding e-bikes. Can we formalize that to put on the agenda?
You certainly can. If you would like to have a future agenda discussion about that, we can definitely do that. I would just need 2 board members to request that to be on. Okay, it looks like Dave Duckworth and Laura Hartman. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any other future board items?
And just for people's edification, that would just be, we would talk about what additional education efforts and public outreach, specifically events that we could do around e-bike education. We don't have police powers as the Anthem Community Council. We can't go out and put handcuffs on anyone or even give them a ticket. But certainly we can do things to invite the community to become more familiar with the guidelines so they can help police each other, if nothing else, to say, hey, just so you know, if you buy your kid this is what it means. So, yep, we'll put that together for next month.
Thank you. Let's see, do I go to open discussion?
That's your public comments.
All right, let's go to public comments. I have 2. Bridget Clements, are you here? Would you like to come up to the podium? I didn't know you were going to have this item. We discussed it earlier, so.
Can you hear me now? A little closer. Thank you. Thank you. Bridget Clements, I live in Parkside. July will be 23 years. It's so ironic, that's what I was asking about. I didn't know how you felt, but I was glad to hear that. If there was a way that we could start to do safety events with the riders. And, you know, I know with the law enforcement, I was thinking like simple things, even starting young, putting out cones, talking about left, you know, right, signs of some sort so they have an idea. And also, I'm a nurse, I'd volunteer to do like first aid training, anything if your friend gets hurt, you get hurt. Or I noticed with the youth that they like to tell you a scenario and they didn't know what to do, but how to help them in the event someone is hurt. So I've been meeting with the riders. And yesterday I met with like about 15 of them on the age range of 13 to 17. And I asked them questions, just 5 simple questions. if we had a safe place for you to ride, would you go? Yes. If we did safety events to help teach you how to be safe, would you go? Yes, 100%. Would you vandalize the area if we had it? No. I said, what if we had to have supervision? Because they do a lot of vandalism. You know, I'm at the park with the grandkids, and of course they're going to say no, but I appreciate that they talk to me. So I said, what about if we had to have supervision like we do at the skate park now and everything? Would you be willing to be trained to work there? And they said, yes, we want to work. Would you want to be a part of this, and would you want to design it and make it? I was thinking, you know, like I said before, nothing elaborate like dirt, nothing dangerous, just a safe area. Different times for little kids and, you know, different things, just a safe place. And they said, absolutely, I would want to. So I told them I'd come to the meetings. I'm just a grandma, just trying to help, because I really do care, and I know everyone here cares. I want them to be safe, but I want also the drivers to be safe. The boy who was disoriented and up in front of my car was so traumatic that brought me here. But when I was leaving yesterday, this very sweet boy with these kind eyes, he looked at me and you could feel so much. And he said it would be so nice if I had a safe place to ride. And I almost cried. I thought of my brother being killed at 17 on his bike. A woman didn't see him. And I don't know what to do or how. I just want to help. I thank you for letting me come and talk. And I just appreciate that they're going to have something next month, and anything I could do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Randall Ackley.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you on this. I lived in Flagstaff for 8 years, and I played a sport that was new to me called disc golf. And instead of holes in the ground and balls, you use frisbees, basically, is what it is, and baskets that stick out of the ground. I originally had an idea that perhaps some of the ravines around here, we could make use of them, and that turned out to be a logistic nightmare, rife with a lot of possible costs and safety issues and everything else. And as your paperwork says back here, pretty much all the land around here is tied up as washes and such. So one day I was riding my bike down to the park, and I saw this huge area that you've got, and nobody was using it at the time, and it had soccer fields 3 and 4. And I realized that there's a really large buffer area between the sidewalks and where the actual official field starts. In some cases, 30, 40 feet. Now, any guy that can make a 30-foot putt in disc golf is considered really, really good. So I thought, wow, you know, and I can't, but I thought, wow, you could put baskets on one side of this field and tees on the other side, and you could zigzag it from one end of 3 to 4, and you could fit in 10 baskets. I went on Google Satellite. It told me the distances. You know, the ideal distance for tee to basket is anywhere from 180 to 350 feet. And the distance just works out perfectly. They're all about 250 to 300 feet. Now, for the cost of about $6,000 in baskets, whatever it would cost to install them in the ground, they go in permanent pipes, they get locked with a padlock in place, they're removable. You could have something that is safe, it shouldn't interfere with any of the current use. You would create a multi-use area and a new possible value stream, because you could charge yearly or 5-year interval fees to become a, whatever you want to call it, Anthem Disc Golf Private Club or whatever. So you'd have value streams, and then the possibility would be that if you had enough throughput and enough people and revenue, you might even be able to keep the lights on at night and have one of the only lighted disc golf courses, a private course, maybe anywhere.
Interesting. Well, thank you very much.
I have some printouts if anybody's interested in taking a look.
Please, go ahead.
We are just about to launch our facility master plan process, which looks at projects like these. So if I could have you get with Mr. Dinkowski, if you'll get him your email, we can email you the information. You could submit this as a possible project. We try to route all of these kind of amenity type things through that process.
Right.
So it's not something we could do today, but you could put it in the process and we could work through it and consider it as part of that process.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I neglected to ask, any questions for either Bridget or Randall from the board? Randall, I did have one question, and that is, what is your sense of demand for this?
My what, sir?
What is your sense of how many participants
What
might?
kind of demand you'd have? Well, you got a lot of young soccer players that go through that field, and they're all going to see this and go, "Hey, Mom, Dad, what's this?" And you know, I grew up as a kid. The first Frisbee I ever threw wasn't even a Frisbee. It was a lid off of a Maxwell House coffee can. And, you know, and then the Frisbee came out in what, 62 or something like that. And we played catch, but that was about the only sport that I was familiar with. When I got much older, playing catch was still something I enjoyed doing. Yet, long story short, kids are going to catch on to this. It's natural, but it's something that even a 67-year-old guy like myself can do. And you know what's wonderful about it is that you have to bend over and pick this thing up every time you throw it. You have to chase it down. You're getting exercise, and I'm doing something I love. I have a lot of fun doing it. And since Flagstaff, I mean, they have 5 courses up there now. Sedona's got one. You know, all of that. Now, there would be one issue that I've already worked out too, but if I can add one more thing, please. Thank you. They normally put a little sign by the tee. You wouldn't have to do that. It could be color coded. Every tee has its own color. You can signify that by a square on the cement. And then the basket can have its own color. They actually do powder coat for these steel galvanized baskets. So you could throw by color and you could eliminate the sign.
Thank you.
I think we have had a request for this before, so I know there is some demand out there, because we've had now 2 individuals approach us, so
Okay.
submitting it would be great.
Really good.
Thank you. All right, any other public comments? None, then I think.
I move we adjourn.
Is there a second? Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, we